Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Initial Education. I'm Emily, your diabetes educator for the day, and this is video 3, hypoglycemia. I'm going to get my PowerPoint pulled up for you guys, and then we'll jump on in. Now, in our last two videos, we learned more about diabetes and more about insulin use, and now we're going to learn more about hypoglycemia, which is the most common side effect of insulin use. So what is hypoglycemia? Hypoglycemia simply means low blood sugar. I like to remember this term because hypo rhymes with low. Hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. In a true medical textbook, hypoglycemia is a blood sugar less than 60, but that's pretty low. So we like to start treating when our blood sugar is less than 80. Lots of different reasons for hypoglycemia, but it really does boil down to an imbalance of sugar and insulin in the body, and insulin is winning. So it could be that we took too much insulin by accident, we miscounted our carbs, we were more active after we ate than we expected. Lots of different reasons. So shed the blame and shame. It happens. We just need to know what to do when hypoglycemia occurs. Now, with hypoglycemia, we often have physical symptoms that accompany this low blood sugar. And the physical symptoms can vary quite a bit, but really common ones are being shaky, you might be dizzy, feeling weak, blurry vision, trouble finding your words or coordination issues, a lot of different symptoms. Now, once we have our first low blood sugar, after we've treated it and we've recovered, take a moment to look back and reflect on how you felt, how your child felt, what symptoms did you see? Because oftentimes a certain person will have certain symptoms with their hypoglycemia, and those symptoms will show up in future episodes of hypoglycemia. So by reflecting and looking back at what those symptoms were, we can help identify hypoglycemia in the future earlier before it becomes severe. Now, as far as frequency of lows go, we do expect you to have some lows. They happen. If we're having more than 2 in a week, we do want you to let us know so that we can help you make some dose adjustments to reduce that number. Same thing if you're having more than 1 a day, so you've had 2 in the same day, we want you to let us know because again, we might need to make some dose changes. To avoid hypoglycemia overnight, what we do recommend is checking a blood sugar 3 to 4 hours after your last bolus before bed. And that's just to make sure that we didn't overshoot that last bolus. We're sleeping for a long period of time. We don't want to accidentally be sleeping in a hypoglycemic period for many, many hours at a time. So checking your blood sugar 3 to 4 hours after that last bolus is a really smart thing to do just to make sure we're not missing any lows overnight. Now, what do we do if we have a low? We use what we call the rule of 15. The rule of 15 is that we eat 15 grams of carbs, wait 15 minutes, and then recheck a blood sugar. If we are still less than 80 at that time, we're going to go back. We're going to eat 15 grams of uncovered carb, wait 15 minutes, and check another blood sugar. We're going to keep cycling through that until that blood sugar comes over 80. Now, when we are eating those carbs to treat that low, keep in mind we're wanting to raise that blood sugar. So we do not give insulin for those carbs. We're going to wait till that blood sugar comes above 80 to give insulin again if we're going to be eating even more than that. Now, when it comes to those uncovered carbs, all carbs will raise your blood sugar eventually, but rapid acting carbs or fast absorbing carbs are going to boost that blood sugar the quickest. And those types of carbs are like simple sugar type carbs. So some of the examples on the screen here are juice, fruit snacks, raisins, fruits. Those are going to boost your blood sugar faster than, say, a sandwich. That's a bit more complex. It has a lot more ingredients in it, got some fats and proteins. Your simple sugars are going to boost that blood sugar the fastest. That being said, if you don't have anything like that, all carbs will raise your blood sugar eventually. So eat 15 grams of something. But if you have them on hand, something super simple like this is going to boost that blood sugar fastest. Some people do like to keep glucose tabs or glucose gels with them. Those are things you can typically find in the pharmacy section at your drugstore. Now, something to keep in mind is if we ever don't have our meter and we're having symptoms of a low blood sugar, just treat it. Eat 15 grams of carbs. Hopefully you can find your meter in the next 15 minutes to see if it really was a low. But if not, it's safer to avoid severe hypoglycemia by treating it early. So if you don't have your meter, just treat it as a low. I always recommend that we carry a low snack with you. I like to carry 2 with me at all times just in case, but always at least have 1 low snack with you because lows can come out of nowhere. Something to be aware of after this new diagnosis, your body is used to living in the 2, 3, 4, 500s. And as those blood sugars come down closer into range, we can have some symptoms of hypoglycemia when we're not actually having hypoglycemia. Just to our body, that's a lot lower than it's used to being. If this is happening to you, you can certainly have a little tiny snack. Eat like 5 grams of sugar just to boost your blood sugar a little bit, and that can help alleviate some of those symptoms. Now, we don't want to be doing that forever and ever and ever. We want our body to reset and feel normal living in the 100s. But just now after your diagnosis, if you're feeling symptomatic when your blood sugar is less than 150 or something like that, just eat a small little 5-gram snack. See if that helps alleviate those symptoms as your body adjusts to this new norm. Now, along with hypoglycemia comes severe hypoglycemia. Severe hypoglycemia does not have a number. It's simply based on symptoms. And some of the symptoms of severe hypoglycemia can be irrational behavior, confusion, and on the far end of the spectrum, it could be being unconscious or having a seizure. Now, those are, again, far end of the spectrum, but we do want to be aware of them so that if it happens, we know what to do. Now, all of those symptoms, what they boil down to is it being unsafe for you to swallow. We can't eat our carbs to raise that blood sugar. If it's unsafe to swallow, then we need to use our emergency glucagon kit to raise that blood sugar. So our glucagon kit, as seen on the screen, it comes in either a red or orange package, depending on the brand you get, but they all work the same. My demo is a white kit. So our glucagon kit, hopefully you got to practice on in the hospital, but as a quick review of this, glucagon, it's that hormone that the alpha cells of our pancreas secretes. People with damaged pancreases, they don't do a great job of responding in these emergency situations. So if we do have this severe hypoglycemia, we need to inject the glucagon similar to how we inject our insulin. So glucagon, it's this hormone, it's going to raise our blood sugar. Comes in this kit. All right, so when we open up our kit, there is a fluid-filled syringe and a powder-filled vial, as you can see on the screen. Now, what's nice is on the inside of your lid, there's going to be those pictures so that if you're ever in an emergency situation and you forget what to do, it's okay. Pictures remind you. But essentially what we need to do, we need to inject all of the fluid from our syringe into the vial, mix that up until it is a clear solution, and then draw it back up into the syringe. This will then get injected into a muscle. Most people use the front of the leg because it's easy to access and you can inject through clothing. So once we've drawn up all this fluid, we're going to just simply inject at a 90-degree angle into that muscle, inject all that fluid. If your kid is very young, you might do a half dose. This will have been told to you in the hospital previous to this. But you'll inject your dose. And then the really important thing is after injecting it, you need to roll your child on their side. The most common side effect of glucagon is nausea and vomiting. And if your child is passed out, you want to roll them on their side in case they wake up and start vomiting. It's going to be the safest thing for them. After that, we're calling 911. This is an emergent situation. We want to have medical personnel come and evaluate to see if you need any further treatment. Now, something to be aware of with glucagon, it does take about 10 to 15 minutes to really start working. And in these emergent situations, that feels like 8 million light years. So just be patient, know it'll work. We just have to wait it out, unfortunately. If you ever need to use glucagon, we do want to know about it at the clinic because most likely we need dose changes. So don't call us in the moment. Wait till you've recovered, been checked out, and you're back home. But then let the clinic know so that we can help you make dose adjustments as needed. We will review this again at week 4. This is a medication that a lot of people go their whole lives without ever having to use, so we do need to brush up on it every once in a while. Something to be aware of too, your glucagon kits will expire. They're usually good for 14, 20 months or so after they were manufactured. So just take a look at your expiration date every once in a while on your kit. And then once it's expired, order a new one from your pharmacy. Then practice with that expired kit. Don't inject it into anybody, but practice reconstituting that fluid and drawing it up just to kind of get some muscle memory into your body so that if this were to be needed, you would know what to do. Alrighty. So last little thing for hypoglycemia is exercise. Exercise can cause hypoglycemia. In general, exercise will decrease our blood sugar, so depending on where your blood sugar is before the exercise, it could potentially cause a low. So general rule of thumb is just checking blood sugars more frequently when we're exercising so that we can catch that low faster. So checking before and after exercise is the minimum you want to do. If it's extended, more than 30 minutes or an hour, you might want to check a blood sugar during the activity to see what's happening, but for sure before and afterwards. If you notice that you have a trend of blood sugar dropping during that activity, you may in the future want to eat some uncovered carbs before that activity to prevent a low. General rule of thumb that we say to start at is eating 15 grams of uncovered carbs for every 30 to 60 minutes of activity. Again, that's a general rule of thumb. Every activity and every person is going to respond differently to activity. Some activities may lower your blood sugar faster than others, and it's something that you just learn with experience. So check lots of blood sugars, make sure you have low snacks with you, and we just kind of learn as we go on this one. Little side note, if we ever have ketones present, which we'll learn about in our next video, but if we do have ketones present, we do not want to exercise as this can make the ketones worse and raise our blood sugar. All right, that is the end of our hypoglycemia class. Up next is video 4, which is ketones and sick day management. Thanks for joining me. See you in the next one.